We're joined by three incredible leaders from Omnipathology.
There might be faster ways to do it, but at the solid, at the beginning, it's just solid, making sure that things are tested well, that they're validated, that you're running them within a certain type of way. You're not releasing things before they're.
We are going to. All three of us are competitive athletes in our former lives. But the thing about competition, in my opinion, is that you want to raise your standard, and you're competing against yourself every day. You want to outdo yourself.
We have archived, all kinds of data sets, both tissue, slides. We have data, information that's extremely important, and our expertise. Dr. Kamal is a world-renowned GI pathologist. We do fantastic quality work, and we have some a great team of.
This is number 7. Okay. For me.
It's just polished like 147. Yeah. That's nice.
Maybe some of them have felt a little bit like the first 100 working through them. But if you guys bear with me, it's going to be a bit messy. Like, it won't be pretty, but I think it'll be real. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Travis Garland, the CEO of Kickstand AI. Today, we're joined by three incredible leaders from Omnipathology, driving innovation in diagnostics and patient care. First, Dr. Kamal, founder of Omnipathology, brings deep expertise in precision diagnostics and a vision for physician-led, tech-enabled care. Alongside him is Michelle Herrera, VP of Operations, who ensures world-class standards and operational excellence while leading major initiatives like ISO accreditation and digital transformations. Joining us as well is Dr. Ronald Blum, a respected voice in pathology, leading science and technology for the organization, and as I've come to find out, is also an accomplished archer and screenwriter. So I'm not sure if he'll get into that at all, but we'll see. We'll see how it does it. Together, these leaders represent a commitment to progress, from Omnipathology's new Pasadena lab opening to its AI-powered partnership with Gestalt Diagnostics. At Kickstand AI, we share that passion and that mission for providing practical AI and automation solutions that help organizations like Omnipathology overcome operational challenges and scale innovation. This conversation will explore their journeys, innovations, and insights for the future of healthcare. And with all that, Dr. Kamal, let me start by welcoming you and your team to the podcast, and I'll be sure to give you some space to introduce yourself, your team, and your organization. Welcome.
Thank you, Travis, for having us on your podcast. It's really exciting to be chatting with like-minded individuals that are focused on advanced technology and up-to-date products. It is an honor for me to be here and to be representing Omnipathology, which is a physician-owned laboratory, high-complexity CLIA certified lab in Pasadena, California. And I am honored to introduce Michelle Herrera, the Vice President of Omnipathology, and Dr. Ronald Blum, Vice President for Science and Technology. And they are both well accomplished. They come with a very long history in the lab industry, serving on multiple national organizations and taking leadership roles in many advancing laboratory and lab medicine ventures over the past. I'm not going to say how many years because I don't know. Michelle.
Yeah, it's not important.
Very experienced folks. Well, let me start with the fact that you just mentioned Pasadena. I of course made the same point about the fact that you guys have been out there. It seems like maybe for a year, so grand opening back in January, I think. As you guys have progressed and moved into these new spaces, I know that you've advanced internationally as well over to Saudi Arabia and certainly other spaces. Tell me a little bit about the types of passions that brought you to this point, Dr. Kamal, as you sort of think about the catalyst to get you guys to this point. What was that for you?
So I started my medical career by going to medical school in Cairo University, and I finished my school and did 1 year of internship and came to the United States directly. I came because I was born in the States, so I was a citizen by birth. So it was a very easy path for me to come to America and start my career in medicine. That required taking exams, and during the time in which I was studying for my exams, I had this fortunate opportunity to join a laboratory at the time that was known to be one of the best, called SmithKline Beecham. And at SmithKline Beecham, I learned the foundation of uh, lab medicine from an angle where there is this customer sensitivity. So it opened my eyes to someone finishing medical school would not necessarily would have had exposure to how the lab functions with this customer focused approach. So I gained a lot of knowledge through that experience. I started as a lab technician in the microbiology division, and during that time I passed my exams. But also in the middle of this, I had moved from the microbiology lab to a research project, and this is actually where I met Michelle. We both were recruited to this research project, and we worked together in that project. And then, I started my residency, and Michelle started her lab career with a larger organization, and then we came back full circle in 2020 during COVID. So, but the catalyst for starting the lab was that after finishing my pathology residency and my fellowship in GI pathology, I joined. I had a job with a very large lab organization and learned a lot from this experience. But that there was a moment where I felt, okay, there's a lot of stuff that I have learned over the years being in labs and training, and I felt that I do have a vision about delivering laboratory services that I kind of really wanted to implement it, and I wanted to have the freedom to uh, put the foundation for this service that's focused on patients, focused on quality, focused on communication with our physician colleagues who receive our pathology reports. And that was the main reason for starting Omnipathology. And then the other thing, we are not in Pasadena for 1 year. We started the lab in 2009
Okay.
and was in Pasadena down the street, but we moved to this building in 2024. But we've been in Pasadena since 2009.
Long time. You've got a footprint in the community, and I know that that's a big deal. Not only is science and automation and technology incredibly important, but also spending a little bit of time with you guys. It seems like the community most certainly is as well. So you guys are rooted in there in the Pasadena community for sure. It seems like. So Michelle, and certainly I'll leave Dr. Blum out just for a second. We'll keep him kind of to the side of this conversation because it sounds like Michelle, you and Dr. Kamal came in about the same time, maybe 5 years ago, so COVID-19 kind of space. What was your journey like? Because it certainly seems to have come from different sides, but how'd you land where you are right now?
So I was working for, at the time of COVID, I was working for a large laboratory as well. And my career, I had my degree in microbiology and minor in chemistry. So when I moved out to California, because I'm originally from Texas, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I ended up going into Pine Beecham. And as Dr. Kamal says, that's where we met as just young people trying to figure out what we were going to do with our life. And so as he transitioned and left for medical school, I transitioned more into the quality systems. I think I wanted to take that research position because I wanted to see, well, I have a microbiology degree. Should I be in the laboratory? Let me see let me just try that. And while that was good, I just realized that I'm much more a communicator. I'm much more like a problem solver. And then it just slowly transitioned into a uh, quality type of role. I just seem to kind of take over that, and that's not the best role to be in. It's probably the most hated role, but I had a good way of, meeting with the staff and challenging them on things that needed to be done. And that's where I was, I was exposed to ISO 15189 when I was working for this laboratory, and they were, they were taking that on and trying to get, I mean, during that time, you're either going to do Six Sigma or you're going to do ISO 15189. And this laboratory I was working for decided we're going to make all our labs ISO 15189. And that really just was, I liked it. It just kind of basically goes in, puts standards and rules, and I'm big about that. I'm big about making sure things are done right. And I like to deal with difficult people. So being at the head of quality is the one, you kind of get that animosity, and I'm okay with it. I think I always tell my dad that he trained me well for that. He was very strict and stern. So I learned early on how to negotiate and ask questions, tough questions, even if I felt like, they don't want to answer it, but if they're going to be they're going to stick to it, like we don't want to follow quality, then I want to know why. So
Sure.
yeah, so it just transitioned and then it flowed into COVID. And at that time, Dr. Kamal and I have always kept in touch through our we just hit it off. And over the years, we would meet and talk about our paths and what we were doing. And then during COVID, he talked about wanting to start that. And I said I would look into it for him and
Hmm.
find out what we needed to do. And it just came together very
There you
seamlessly. And
go.
I stepped out of a conventional role. I mean, I was very much more conservative, following a path, corporate, and I was going all the way up. And to
Hmm.
kind of really take off from that part and jump into a position where you didn't even know during that time was a little scary, but exciting. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And
It's
I'm going to jump in because I know that Michelle sometimes doesn't like to talk about her accomplishments. So the details of Michelle's involvement with us is that basically we had developed this COVID test, PCR test,
Mhm.
and we needed to submit an application for the emergency use authorization. And at the time, and we've been friends. So at the time, I developed the test, and we were very proud of the test and very proud of how fast we developed it. So I talked to her about, I'm gonna ask a friend of mine who has a lot of regulatory experience and FDA experience who's gonna help us, put together the submission. And Michelle said, you're gonna pay money for this, and that's like, well, why? Let me just try to do it. And on her own time, she volunteered to write this. I have actually a picture where she's sitting in the conference room. She has like 3, 4 computer screens, and she's putting together our EUA application. And we managed to get that submission and get the EUA approved by FDA. And then after that, I asked her to join us as full time to be our executive director. Because we felt that COVID is going to really result in a lot of additional work, and we're going to grow. And I needed somebody to help me, at the executive level. But then the other thing that is like really is going to be something that she has to be known for is that she basically started a school testing program,
Mm.
and she recruited an army of swabbers, and we had one of the most robust school testing program. We helped students come back to the classroom, and she was also honored by the San Marino School District. Towards the end of COVID, they wanted to recognize people that had really lots of contributions. So she would never say that, so somebody has to say it.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it because I was going to make the comment about some of the Six Sigma pieces rolling into ISO and sort of our matchup, but I absolutely appreciate you mentioning that, Dr. Kamal, because it is thinking about those that might be listening in here. There's pathways to your future that are circuitous and some that are pretty direct. And I think what I'm hearing here is that you guys kept in touch, the network was strong, and you ended up merging back together to obviously create impart a fantastic organization here. So it's kind of a cool journey. If I jump back a little bit to the Six Sigma piece, I can appreciate that comment, Michelle, as you're sort of thinking about those two different pathways. I went down the Six Sigma side, and that sort of led me into the master black belt space, and then ultimately the data and analytics from former roles really picked up. And I can certainly appreciate how the idea of AI automations, the fact that quality has to be top notch, and that's obviously it's something that I think a lot of people are rather concerned about when you start thinking about where AI is at and how the automation space really functions. It's no surprise that in the public sphere, AI is taking a hold from chat GPT kinds of stuff where you're just kind of using it as a search engine kind of a method to those that are really deep in developing agentic AI models and then quantum computing and all sorts of things well beyond that. So I'm really sort of curious if you put your deep quality hat on and you start thinking about here's the kind of stuff that at least from a pathology space and from the ISO space we have to be paying a lot of attention to these kinds of quality factors, and we do at Omnipathology. What do you think about in your day to day? What keeps you up at night when you think about quality and the integration of AI and pathology in this space? Before we throw it to Dr. Blum, what's in your mind about that?
I think for us, we're just consistent. I think there might be faster ways to do it, but at the solid, at the beginning, it's just solid, making sure that things are tested well, that they're validated, that you're running them within a certain type of way. You're not releasing things before they're approved. So it doesn't matter in what style that you go. It's just the foundation, and I think often they make that a whole thing to sell. All these, ISO 15189 or the Six Sigma really comes down to being able to create a solid, streamlined system that will produce consistent results that will, that we can meet our patients. I'm not so concerned, honestly, with that. That doesn't keep me up at night. Maybe when I was working for the big lab, certain things would keep me up, but in our space, I think we're so much in touch with each other. We know what's going on. We know what tests are about to come out. And if we have problems, because there are problems that come up, you just have a way of recording them, figuring out where it happened and is it going to happen anywhere else, and then correcting it, and then making sure that everybody's kind of tied into it. So I do appreciate my background in quality, and it has helped fuel our facility. But yeah, I don't think you need all the bells and whistles. If you can get the upper management to really buy into the quality, the system will work. With our patients getting the best part of that.
Yeah, that's fair. So thinking about the technology here, I'm gonna pass over here to you to see what your thoughts are on this, Dr. Blum. The idea around your role in the science and technology space, as we've gotten to know each other, and as we think about where the tech is and the AI capabilities, when you consider where the future for AI is, or where the future is for precision medicine is, what gets you most excited about that? Like, where do you see it going?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question, and I think everybody's trying to sort of see the future, what's going to happen with AI,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's moving so quickly that I think it's very difficult to even see ahead more than a couple years realistically, because there are so many things that are happening now and in the future that we have to sort of think about. It's almost hard to imagine taking big leaps in terms of where things are going, but we've seen already how quickly AI has really helped. One great area is in the area of digital pathology. So digital pathology has been around in one form or another for about the past 20 years or so.
Okay.
And the technology has been there in the sense of being able to do some pretty nice high image scanning. But a number of the different problems with it have been data storage. It gets so expensive to store the amount of data that's collected from just like a whole slide imaging. It's about a gigabyte. And so when you think about scanning hundreds or thousands of slides, it's a huge amount of data that has to be stored. So that's one whole issue. The cost of that has been another issue. With all the new technologies, the cost has come down. The opportunity to store that data has obviously expanded. But one of the really exciting things that has happened over the past couple of years has been AI, and the use of AI in digital pathology in particular in a number of different scenarios. And we've seen this very recently. Dr. Kamal and I went to the Digital Pathology Association's Pathology Visions conference, and amazing all the different kinds of innovations that are going on with AI. And what's happening is AI is allowing us to not only, you have sort of your scanning of your slides to create the digital images that can then be sent around the world to have expert pathologists review them, which is fantastic. But really the adoption has been accelerated tremendously by AI. So what's happened is you now have all these different tools that are being developed with different kinds of algorithms where you can actually have that image. The pathologist can call it up. You can say, find all the areas of T lymphocyte infiltration, find the areas of necrosis, find the areas of dysplasia. It'll actually find these different areas. It'll highlight them. You can train it to pick up all kinds of different abnormalities. And then from there, you can make your own determinations. And so we're very excited about not only adopting a lot of these different tools, but actually developing them ourselves. Dr. Kamal is a world.
Can I jump in on that point? Because you sort of on the point of developing things for yourselves. Omnipathology has been apparently at the forefront of all sorts of fantastic developments across the years of your guys' existence, the 2 decades plus. That comment seems like a rather smooth transition to other things, but frankly, I think you're probably underselling it a little bit on that point. So, when I think about the new content or the new relationship with Gestalt as an example, or with Saudi Arabia and the partnership there, it feels like there is a space that you guys are advancing that maybe competitors aren't taking a look at, or that you guys are just tapping into things like large scale models, this whole slide imaging material, making sure they're using unsupervised data to create new models potentially? Tell me a little bit about what it is that you guys are up to, because it feels like the sky's the limit for omnipathology. Every time I click on the news button, right, there's new stuff coming out. When you think about that, what kind of technology are you pointing at, without any proprietary stuff most certainly here, but what are you guys thinking about?
Is this to me or to Ron? I
Oh,
think I'll let Ron answer. Then
Oh, I mean, no, I was going to say, I mean, one of the things that really attracted me to come on board and join Omnipathology was the innovation. My whole career has really been working for laboratories, diagnostic companies, CROs, but I have purposely always worked for companies generally that are much smaller, but were always very innovative, right on the cutting edge of innovation, because I think that's really what helps patient care. What gets me excited is, and I think Dr. Kamal and Michelle will also attest to this from their own perspectives, that it's being able to help answer that tough clinical question that you can't answer any other way than with the particular test and technology that you develop. And that's really has been the forefront of the beauty of really of laboratory developed tests, and laboratories, small independent laboratories that can develop their own tests, take a technology, have a problem, develop that test, and provide that test to physicians so they can help their patients in a way that they've never been able to do that before. And so there are so many different applications that we're doing right now. We're looking ahead. AI certainly is going to be a major piece of this. And one of the tests, and I'll let Dr. Kamal talk about this more, our proprietary oropharyngeal HPV test, basically screening for throat cancer. Nobody's really has been doing this in an effective way, and Dr. Kamal developed this test, and so it's been something that has been really sort of the cornerstone of where we see things moving. And I'll let Dr. Kamal sort of elaborate a little bit more on that.
Thank you, Ron. I mean, what you said, Travis, your last statement about competition. I'm actually going to, I want to talk about this from two angles. One, the competition, and my philosophy about competition, and then the other one is the innovation part. So the highest performing athletes are the ones that compete against themselves. They want to outdo themselves every day, and they want to improve. And when I looked at our organization, I really don't look around and see who's doing what, and I want to jump on that bus and say, oh, let's do this and let's do that because the other people are doing it. I think we are going to. I mean, all three of us are competitive athletes in our former lives, but the thing about competition, in my opinion, is that you want to raise your standard, and you're competing against yourself every day. You want to outdo yourself, and I think that this is probably a more pure form of competition, and it's a healthy way to compete. Because you can control also what you want to do, and you can evaluate objectively what you've done yesterday, and you want to do better. The area of innovation is the thing is that I believe that there is no end to innovation. The biggest trap is for people to say, okay, we've done this, we arrived. And I think that this is probably would be the beginning of the end of any organization that feels that we got there, we're done. And there are so many examples of in technology. I mean, Nokia probably would be one good example where they basically at one point they were like the best, cell phones, and then all of a sudden they're just like not there anymore. Couldn't catch up with anybody. So we thought when we think about laboratory testing, I believe that think about laboratory testing. We want to find ways to one um, precision, reproducibility, right?
Mhm.
But then how can we do this better? And the one big thing that has to be accomplished is standardization. We want to standardize things, and when you standardize, you have to think about a way to consistently standardize it. We set a
Mhm.
standard, so everything that we do in every product, we wanted to look at that. But when COVID happened and we decided to develop our own test because we couldn't wait for a larger organization to have a test available and give us the test according to the quota that we will get based on our size or our volume and all of that. We said we're just going to take control of what we do, and we developed our own test. There was a lot of innovation in that as well, and we did a lot of really crazy stuff that was like really I don't want to sound like I'm gloating, but we had a lot of intelligent solutions to the process of the test development.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we wanted to expand our test capacity, we decided to go with a system that was we went with Roche, the Cobas system. We picked something that is robotic. The system is robotic, is hands-free. You just load the samples, walk away, you get the results into your lab information system. And then we picked something that can carry us into the post-COVID days. We didn't want to buy an instrument that just does COVID. We said we want to do other things. And in my vision was, I felt, okay, let's focus on something. But for example, I knew that HPV is a big problem, and then we started to see applications for HPV, and then we developed the throat HPV testing because we basically felt that this would be a very effective way to screen for HPV-related throat cancer.
So let me toss this at you because I think this is what you just said. I'm going to say this in very much layperson's terms. You built a test that all of us hated, which was the cotton swab in the nose for COVID, and frankly repurposed with the appropriate engineering and protocols and science and technology behind it, a throat HPV testing kit that can be used by anyone. And watching the videos, quite easily done. Results very rapid coming back. And that transition is what you're referring to right now, which is there are times when there are large scale transitions that happen, evolutions, like big kinds of things. This one feels like your foresight, your guys' team's foresight of really just stepping back and saying, listen, let's make sure we're building for the future. I'm pretty sure that's what I just heard. Like you guys weren't building for COVID-19. You guys were building for the next iteration of where this could go. And it's fascinating to me. I'm going to make a big jump here because I'm a big fan of the Olympics. I know that you guys probably don't know that, but 2028 LA Olympics happening relatively soon. Sports testing is a huge deal. Being former athletes, all of you, it seems like. Where is there something in that space when you start talking about maybe not pathology? Maybe this is sort of like man-made kinds of stuff, but boy, I feel like I'm way ahead of my skis on this one. What's your thinking about that? Are you guys, going to be the next LA 2028 pathology testing for some sort of, performance enhancing drugs that I'm going to hear about in 2 years? Like, I feel like you guys are on a pathway here.
So it's actually funny you're saying that. The short answer is no, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So over the years, we have come across many propositions to do toxicology testing. Mm-hmm. Toxicology would be all drugs. It could be drugs of abuse, and it could be other things, and including performance enhancing drugs. And basically the analyzer is the same pretty much for everything. Mm-hmm. You get one analyzer that does all kinds of drug testing. And when this trend started in our industry, it's intuition. I can't claim superior knowledge, but there was an intuition that there was going to be an abuse in this utilization, mm-hmm. the testing utilization. So something I got kind of turned off from that, and I kind of felt that I don't want to get into this, and there was a period where this was like a free market; everybody could do whatever they want to do, and then there was time when authorities basically recognized there is a lot of abuse there, and there was like a stop to a lot of activities, and many players got in trouble. I know that we would not get in trouble because we have a lot of first of all the three of us we run everything against morality and ethics and everything, and then of course we the compliance in Michelle, and Ron and I have always wanted to do things the right way all the time. So but I basically decided that I'm not going to get into toxicology testing, and then we heard a lot of horror stories about labs that got shut down and labs that got in trouble, and people were doing a lot of abuse. So we just like felt that this is really not our area, and we stayed away from it. And it was by design. We didn't want to get into this, and we felt that this is not something we wanted to touch. So I can't see us, even though it's like in 2028, I can't see us getting into that unless there is something that is presented to us in a way that has all of the compliance and everything built into it, and we feel confident that we could do that without really, getting into any messy situations. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And I might I'm gonna put you two together on this one, Dr. Blum and Michelle. As you, Dr. Blum, talk about things like digital pathology, you're going to conference, you're hearing about all this kind of stuff. I want to know, Michelle, when he comes back to the office and he's like, you know what, this is what we're going to do. I just heard about this. I heard about that. Dr. Kamal's over here saying, yes, we're going to pay attention to the ethics and the integrity of things. But man, this would be fantastic. I think we should really do it. Michelle, how do you make sure that doesn't get too far off the rails? Because I feel like you guys press the envelope a lot. Like how do you manage those two guys over there?
Very carefully. Yes. I tend to be more involved in, business operations much more than I have been in quality. So it's like I have my hands in everything. So there is that time. I think what I want to say regarding about COVID, I think it taught us that, we were in a space where we can compete. As anybody knows that is doing any kind of clinical lab testing, you are at a disadvantage if you're not a big corporation. You're not allowed to partake in testing. You might get denied. So you have all these restrictions. During COVID, we were able to compete against the bigger guys, and we did great. Like, we never really looked to them as we didn't want to be them. We just wanted to kind of take our knowledge and do very well, and we did. And so we saw we can compete. So nowadays, Dr. Kamal has a ton of ideas. We've had people that kind of always reaching out. We want to do this for you, want to do that for you. And I think that as I've been through all of those things, I'm much more trust my instinct kind of thing. So when Ron comes in from a meeting and we're talking about things that we're going to do, and maybe Dr. Kamal is talking about, we should do A, B, and C, I do try and kind of rein us in and say, okay, what are we going to focus on so that we can get to those things done, because it's difficult. We have Dr. Kamal doing the pathology and then the innovation, and then both of them are very good speakers and then just involved in a bunch of stuff. But then to get things done for Omni, I have to kind of rein it in. And I just did that to Ron yesterday. And we were like, okay, at the beginning of next year, this is our goal. This is what we're going to do. So I can do that, and I like that. I always say I'm the person behind the green curtain, just because I can see everything. I like that view. But I can ground us enough to say, okay, we really need to focus on, whatever that might be to get us to the next level. Because, we don't know our size. We don't know our size, and we know we're good at whatever we do. But also, we have to focus our area and things that we can really get to, because there's so many roadblocks sometimes, not of ours, just what we have to kind of go through, compliance. And we spend a lot of time with our lawyer asking questions because it matters to us. We want to do it right. So. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to stop thinking about things. We have probably about 100 things in an idea box that we want to get to, but we have a couple of things we have to finish this year. So
I like it. So you're always constantly paying attention to what's coming in the next quarter, what's coming in the next pipeline. You guys are building for the future for sure, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Dr. Blum, I'll make a quick, linear reference to the Archer piece here. But when you think about where you guys are heading, I sort of lean back in my chair oftentimes thinking, where in the world does the science and the use of things like synthesized data happens, and unstructured data sets, and the world that we're aiming toward seems like it's ripe for all sorts of I'll say digital, because I don't want to use imaginary, but when you're using data and you're developing models to feed and to understand what's coming down the pike and to understand how it applies to reality. When you think about pathology and you think about the realness of the fact that whole slide imaging is the representation of potentially a very impactful diagnosis for a person that's on the other side, how does that keep the humanness for you guys going?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really important, and you're kind of touching upon sort of a whole other area that we're very involved with, and I think is really sort of the future, and that is in the area of clinical trials and clinical studies. And the fact that we have archived, all kinds of data sets, both tissue, slides, we have data, information that's extremely important, and our expertise. Dr. Kamal is a world-renowned GI pathologist. We do fantastic quality work. We have some a great team of pathologists here in the area of GI, GU, GYN, all these different areas. And the fact that we have that expertise, we have access to patients, access to data, that's something that diagnostic companies, pharmaceutical companies, life science companies are very eager to work with us on and partner. And they need that, because they really don't understand how laboratories work. They don't always have access to the tissue, to the information, to patients, to the physicians, that we have that direct contact on a daily basis. That's really, really important in terms of when you talk about the sort of the human connection. I think that's something that it makes us kind of unique in the fact that we do talk to the physicians. We even talk to patients, depending on different situations. We have a whole direct-to-consumer division that we're developing as well, and so that's always at the forefront. Is that human connection? Is that patient? And we're very cognizant of that, and we always want to make sure that we're doing things that will positively impact patients, but also never compromise data or and as you know, I mean, that's a huge area of compliance and research in terms of protecting privacy and so forth. But at the same time, that information is so important, and I think as a society, we're moving more and more into understanding that as a whole, we're trying to do some amazing things, and we all have a responsibility to try to contribute as much as we can. So there's just so many different opportunities, but we're very, very excited about the whole clinical study side, because I think AI is really going to advance this very, very quickly. And it helps us to be able to access the data in a way that we've never been able to do it before. And in turn, that data can be used to help to develop novel drugs, novel treatments that we've never seen before. And that's a whole other area that is accelerating very, very quickly. And so we're really excited to be an integral part of that. And that's a fast-growing segment of our business.
Well, I certainly, I think everybody sort of maybe on a personal basis can appreciate those comments for sure, Dr. Blum, where there's this sort of sense of where we're going and how does it impact the kinds of results that are going to be communicated to me. And I would say even, just recently, some of the media that's sitting out there talking about how folks like insurers are talking about the application of AI and technology, which you guys, maybe in this space, we're all quite familiar with the fact that insurers typically have been utilizing automations and AI capabilities internally for quite some time. But how that applies to decision-making, I think, is an important piece. So kind of that is a little bit of a segue as we get to the end of our time here. The idea that there are models that are making decisions or at least providing guidance or recommendations. I could go back maybe 5 or 10 years and talk about radiology, which seemed to be one of the earliest areas where there was some diagnostic stuff, primarily because images were one of those kinds of things that really kind of stood up as an application use case. But where does decision-making and the final results land when it comes to pathology and lab work? I'm not sure who that question's for. I feel like there's elements for each of you, frankly, in that space. But where maybe I'll jump back to you, Michelle, on this one, at least to start, because I think you guys all probably have some opinions. But where does in your area, where would you put that activity node, that decision point of, yes, we've got a human that would say, yes, I'm going to validate this, or maybe there doesn't need to be one?
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with just kind of relying on that AI yet. I think there's a lot of improvements and innovation in it. I think for us, it would still be the manual process or the review of one of our eyes or trained. But yeah, it's something that is rapidly happening so quickly. I just feel like we need to be in front of it to know what we can do with it, right? Until you know how to use that power, we have to proceed with caution because we don't want anything to not get checked. So we're not, yeah, I think we have to just be careful, but we have to speed it up because I mean, every day the innovation is there and what we can do and what we can get from it. So yeah, currently I think it still relies on the people that you're looking at in this screen. There would be some kind of decision made by one of us.
Okay. What do you
Yeah,
think,
no,
Dr. Blum?
I agree. I think it's, AI can do so many amazing things, but on a daily basis, we're all having to verify um, different different results. I think we've all had these different experiences, Chat GPT and some others that, some things can be absolutely, it's amazing what it can do. And then there's other things, it's amazing how it missed these things that we know. I used it the other day to look up a particular reimbursement on, or actually a particular CPT code that came out in 2025 to find out what the reimbursement was. And I knew the answer, but I couldn't remember the exact code. It did not find it. And so I had to go to a different source that I knew that to actually get it. Some basic sort of things that it does miss, and things that it just suddenly cites a certain reference, I can't find the reference. So there's just some basic things that we're still not there yet. So, and I think you always have to have that human oversight, because I think when we lose that, we lose control, and we lose that human connection. And I think that's so important. People go to see their doctors not because they necessarily can just get lots of answers. There is that personal connection, and I think as a society we're losing that so quickly that I think it's becoming more and more important to have human interaction, human conversations, and never just totally rely on AI, because it's not always right, and it doesn't think the way that we do. And so even though it can maybe be smarter in a lot of ways, as Michelle says, and she's very good at this, intuition I think is very, very important. And there are a lot of things that we sort of internally feel that we can't necessarily put our hands on why, but it's very, very important that we always listen to that.
It seems like it's one of the last elements of the human experience, intuition, that people are sort of saying, listen, the gut feel about something, it's the reaction of knowing that somebody's behind you looking at you and you can just feel it as a human. It's sort of one of those kinds of moments that I often, when my parents ask me about AI, like, Travis, what in the world are you doing? Like, what is your actual job? What do you do for a living? Which is always kind of a fun experience with your parents. But I would tell you that sort of gut reaction is one of those last remaining elements for sure. But let me do this, because we've crossed lots of different rivers here. Dr. Kamal, I'll hand the mic over to you, and I'll let you wrap us up here in the next couple of minutes. What's on your mind as far as where you're going? What kind of thoughts are sitting out there that you'd like to make sure that folks know about? I think you're muted.
And addressing the last point that Michelle and Ron spoke about regarding AI, I think there's so much energy wasted on the question of AI replacing humans. And I think from my angle, the way I think about AI, every time it comes up, I'm trying to find things that AI can do better than humans. Computational, correlation, handling a large data set. Like you can have data from a pathology slide, and then a bunch of clinical data from the patient's medical record, and an AI system could put things together better than any human. An AI system can measure things better, more consistently than any human. So these are the things that AI can do better than humans. There's no question about that. And then the human input would provide what you're mentioning: the gut feeling, the intuition, the emotional portion that has to be part of any type of interaction with a patient. So I try to focus on the things that humans cannot do, or that an AI system can do better than humans. So that's one thing that I wanted to kind of throw out here about my personal approach. To wrap it up, I feel that we as an organization have evolved every day. We feel that we are working on doing things better and doing things across the board better. So we talk about clinical decision making, for example, right? But I can tell you, like, on the executive and business side, I think we have really evolved, and we have basically came up to a way that we are making better decisions as a group. We have an idea meritocracy, which we try to basically implement, where the good idea is going to dominate the conversation, not the owner of the idea. It doesn't matter who owns the idea, who comes up with the idea. We would be a horrible organization if we only discuss ideas that come from the CEO. That would not be a good system. But we have to basically, we have over the years learned how to engage in conversations as a group where we address the problems objectively and let the idea come out based on a good understanding, not based on emotion, not based on who feels what. It's just, this is the way. So Michelle actually can testify. A lot of the issues that we see in the lab, I ask the team to come up with the idea because I want to have this sense of ownership. So as we developed and evolved in this area, I think we have become a better organization. And when you improve on these little things, the big picture becomes better. And I'm very optimistic about what we do and what we are going to continue to do in the next few years.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dr. Kamal. I'll thank you, Dr. Blum. Michelle, appreciate you guys' time. It's clear that each of you are strong leaders in your own respect. Leaning on each other, you guys are making headways into the future that I don't know that a lot of other pathology labs are. So congratulations to you guys. I'm excited to see where the future is. I'm going to keep pulling a rabbit out of the hat for maybe a new screenwriter that's going to hop out in LA 28 and become like the new fancy Archer that's going to do lab toxicology testing or something. Like, I'm going to keep an eye out for Omnipathology in a lot of different ways in the next 2 years. And I certainly appreciate you guys' time. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll cut us on the recording there. Thank you guys. You were fantastic. That was super easy. I appreciate the insights. It's always, I think I'd mentioned before, this is the first time that I've had 3 folks sitting on the same podcast. So it's kind of fun moving back and forth between you guys. Hopefully you had the same reactions.
No, it was fun. That was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoed it.
You had us all on our best behavior. There was no negotiating, no yelling.
You didn't have to bite.
No.
Oh, that's fair. I may not have been on my best behavior, but maybe I just get that poetic flexibility, I suppose. I'll call it.
No, you did very well.
Yeah, that's great.
You did it like a pro.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. This I think is like number 147, something like that.
Wow, we have 147, and you haven't published any yet.
No, this is number 7. This is number 7 for me.
It's just polished like 147. That's nice.
It just, maybe some of them have felt a little bit like the first 100 working through them, but it's been great fun. I will tell you that what I'm going to do is over the next couple of days, I'll shoot over to you guys a couple of quick little snippets, just some clips so you can kind of get a feel for what the system's doing. And from there, I'll probably set up another call. And I know we're going to get close to the holidays here, where I can give you the full set of links, let you know a little bit more about what we should be expecting as far as podcast stuff is concerned. And then if I have that opportunity to chat with you guys as well, I can certainly send over a proposal for some of that other content that we've been talking about on the side of the podcast. And we should be in a good spot. So before I jump off, one, that sounds pretty good. You guys are okay with the timing of the next couple of days of getting some stuff? Okay.
Sure.
Anything from, I know the first time I sent an email over to you guys, Dr. Kamal, you made a great point about the voluminous email that had all sorts of stuff in it. I sent over a recent one that was just a simple deck with some additional content. Can I offer any additional thoughts there? Any additional content? Are we still on the same path for me to give you guys a proposal in the next couple of days?
Yeah.
Okay. I will continue down that road. If you guys need any additional content, Dr. Blum, I shot you a quick note. You may have already seen it, of course, with just an offering of any additional visualizations from our system, sort of behind the scenes.
I mean, one thing that would really be nice is and I don't know if you have this, but I was talking to Michelle a little bit about this yesterday, just because I quickly saw your deck and everything, and it still looked kind of complicated to me, and so I like to sort of just, if possible, sort of, I don't know if you could almost have like almost just like a 2-minute sort of like a video or something. Like if you had a case study, like one of your clients where you've been successful in whatever industry it was, sort of like here they were 6 months ago, and the situation, where did they want to go, and sort of what you did along the way to get them to sort of where they are now. That would be just something really easy to kind of just sort of watch, listen to. I think that would be nice to be able to sort of internalize that a little bit more than intellectually sort of thinking about it. I don't know if that helps at all, but That was just sort of, it's almost like an infomercial kind of thing, like a testimonial or something that just kind of um, almost like how Shark Tank is, they do the little thing, like, here they were when they were introducing their idea, and then here they are now, and what did they do? And they kind of went through and how they got it into the different, went Whole Food, then they expanded, and this is the advertising that they did, this is the marketing effort that they did, here's how it worked, here's what didn't work, here's where they shifted, here's where you got, because you have some great ideas and great tools. It's just it'd be
like way up
nice.
here. What he's trying to say is like, it just blows our mind, and we're like, I'm like, I don't know, like maybe we can find Darth Vader. I mean, you just have this way of just expanding this universe that you're going to give us, and I'm like, I'm not sure what we're going to get. So I think that we just want to bring it down to something that would make sense for us.
Yeah, let me boil it down for you guys in a quick little deal. I think what I often struggle with, and I'll be perfectly frank about this. Oftentimes, the space of AI and of automations, especially, it can be very opaque, right? It's sort of like you can't really see anything. It's all behind the scenes, and so it becomes a difficult thing to really say this is how stuff works, if you will. There may be really good opportunities though for me to be able to just I can do a quick sort of Loom video maybe of just here's the mechanism that we use for this, right? Here was the result of this, and here's maybe some social media posts that we use for this. Here's how we identified those, proximity protocol individuals, those top clients that we have. We use this list to create our conversations, and we join these round tables. And from those round tables, we ultimately sent a few gifts to say, hey, welcome to whatever, we'll be a part of your charity, or we'll sponsor this, and sort of the warm network piece. I could certainly walk through that type of a mechanism, which we've done. The other side, that growth engine piece, is very much a volume game, right? It's all about the emails and about the touch points. The more touch points you have, the more opportunities you have to find those handful that are sitting out there who are going to say yes, and then move those yeses into essentially that proximity protocol, right? You kind of use one to feed the other in some respects. But I'll run this by a few folks and see if I can figure out a different strategy besides what I had sent over, that sort of flow, to say, here's what it actually looks like. So if you guys bear with me, it's going to be a bit messy. Like, it won't be pretty, but I think it'll be real. So if you guys are up for the realness and not the prettiness, if you're acceptable to that, then I'll run with it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll do it. I'll send you a quick note. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day out there.
Same to you.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Travis.
Bye.